Ladies and gentlemen, Texas and Georgia just went head to head, and it wasn't pretty for the most part. I would say this is one of the ugliest college football games I've watched in a while, and let me tell you why. First off, this game had all the hype. Texas, number one, at home against the Georgia Bulldogs, who've been playing good football but had that one loss to Alabama at Georgia at home, right? So now can the Bulldogs kind of get back on track? Or are they going to end up with two losses for the first time in regular season in 3-4 years? For the first time under Kirby Smart, I believe. And so yeah, it was a very well hyped up game, as it should be. We start the game. This game starts off with explosions from the Bulldogs. Well, first off, holy cow, the turnovers throughout the whole game, but to start, we're awful. We're awful to start. I think there was, 2 turnovers before there was any points. Both interceptions. It was just crazy. But we saw the Bulldogs come out swinging and take an eventual 23-0 lead. Again, this is the number 1 ranked Longhorns, who have been without Quinn Ewers a couple games. Quinn Ewers comes back. But even in those games that Arch Manning was the quarterback, they went 2-0, right? This looks like a very, very good football team all the way across the board. Great defense, especially in that front seven. All right, two good enough quarterbacks to be starting at the college level and on a top-ranked team. Okay, that's insane. All right, and then you got the Bulldogs, right? We know what the Bulldogs are. They have one loss all last year, which happened to come in the SEC championship game, so they missed the playoffs. Then they blew out Florida State like 63-0 or whatever. I don't remember what it was, but you get what I'm saying. This Bulldogs team has been very, very good for a few years. Texas missed the college football championship game with the loss at the hands of Texas, if I remember right. Or at the hands of Texas. At the hands of Washington. We knew this was a good ball team last year when they were in the Big 12. They come to the SEC. We're expecting all the fireworks. Texas has played pretty much nobody so far. They played Oklahoma. They played another NC State, I believe. And both teams were ranked at the time of the game, but both teams have not looked very good since and are currently unranked. This was the first test for the Texas Longhorns, the number 5 ranked Bulldogs. And again, started off explosive for the Bulldogs. It got so bad that Steve Sarkisian decided to switch quarterbacks and bring in Arch Manning for a couple drives. And he did okay, went 3 for 6, 19 yards. Okay, so make 50% of his completions, but just still didn't get that offense really going. 23-0 at halftime. Who is Steve Sarkisian going to bring out to start in the second half? He elects to go with the veteran Quinn Ewers. Can't blame him. He's the guy. He's the number 4 quarterback draft prospect going into the NFL draft this year. You can't blame him. You can't blame him. And what do? Quinn Ewers gets out and gets their first drive. All right, because Texas received the ball to start the second half, marched down, got 6, got a 2-point conversion to make an 8-point game, gave some momentum, gave some life back into the Longhorn Stadium, whatever they call it, Campbell Williams Field, whatever it is. And Longhorn fans got right back into the game. Okay, can Georgia respond? No, they don't at first. Then Georgia marches down the field once again. Well, actually, no. Pause. Rewind just a little bit. Georgia's trying to get back in it, trying to get some life, get some momentum in the second half. Then we have what I got heated about, what Steve Sarkisian got heated about, but who took it to another level was the Texas Longhorn student section on a PI call, a defensive pass interference call that should have been, there was, interception, right? Carson Beck, left side, throws down to a hitch. I think it was Smith was the receiver, if I'm not mistaken. Might have been Bell. Either way, left side of the field, throws a 12-yard hitch. 12-10. All right. Then the DB ends up with the ball for Texas, number 7. Forgot his name right now. And then he decides to take it, almost runs it all the way back, gets it to the 9-yard line. But a flag was thrown. They're saying it's defensive pass interference. I'm like, shoot, all right, could be. Let's see the replay. Texas fans wanted to see the replay. They see the replay on the Jumbotron. I see it in my living room. And it is just, I mean, you watch the play for yourself, of course. But these two, receiver, DB, locked up, both at the top of the route. It looked like it was a little bit pushing and shoving from both sides. Both sides were pushing and shoving. The DB just ended up getting back to the ball a little bit better. Plus, it wasn't the greatest of throws, even though that's a tough throw. Anyways, they call defensive pass interference. Steve Sarkisian blows up. Fans are throwing bottles on the field. One beer can, and then a bunch from the student section. And while they're cleaning all this mess up, which I think Texas did a really good job of cleaning it up real quick, Steve Sarkisian ran all the way down to the freaking student section. It was like, chill out, people. They got the cheerleaders. They had everybody cleaning up. And while they're doing that, the referees are having a little meet. All right, they're getting together. They're talking. And Kirk Herbstreit on the broadcast, he's like, man, what are these guys even talking about right now? Are they talking about all the cans? Like, what are they going to say to the fans? And that's what I assume, right? Give them a little warning, right? No, they come out and say, you know what? We made it. We talked about it. We messed up. No defensive pass interference. First down, Longhorns. Are you kidding me? And I think it's the right call. Everybody on the broadcast said it was the right call, including the officiating expert, whatever. I think it's the right call, but as a referee myself, as an umpire for youth, okay, all right, it's just youth. But once I make a call, I can think about it in my head and be like, dang, yeah, I messed it up. But I'm not gonna fix it. I'm not gonna go out and be like, you know what? Let's reverse it. Run it back. No, I don't know. If I make a call, I stand by it, right? And especially after fans just threw a tantrum. All right, I'm not going to reward that kind of behavior, right? Right? Is that crazy? Is that crazy? Is that me just being wrong here? And I'm pulling for Texas. I have no attachment to Texas. I don't know why I'm pulling for Texas, but I'm pulling for Texas this game, and I still think that's crazy. I think, first off, you got to meet about that flag and decide if you're going to wave it off first before you make a decision. That's what I think. Even after you call defensive pass interference, maybe you can have a little get together. You got to do it quick, though, and wave the flag off or, fix it. You can't wait 3, 4, 5 minutes after having a tantrum and cleaning up their tantrum that you decide, you know what, they're right, let's go, first down. No, that's going to reward crappy behavior, right? That cannot happen. Now, if I'm a fan, especially if I'm a UT fan, I'm throwing bottles every single time I think they blow a call. Every time. Because that is just horrendous. You cannot reward poor behavior, and that's what the officials just did. I don't know. Again, especially as a defensive-minded guy, especially as a DB myself, that was the correct call. You should never just throw a defensive pass interference when both guys are tangled up. Especially when I think honestly, I would have liked to see an offensive pass interference because he's the one who came up and made the initial shove at the top of the route. Anyways, that's besides the point. Texas now gets the ball. That's just my little rant about that because that was a big deal, right? They threw bottles on the field, and that's crazy. That's crazy to me. It can't happen. Cannot happen. You move on. But then they change the call, right? 9-yard line, Texas ball. They go punch it in. After a big Mykell Williams sack, let me tell you, Mykell Williams for Georgia is a dog. He is a dog. Should be one of the top 5 picks in the NFL draft this year. But yes, Texas goes up, puts in more points. They kick the extra point this time, so they make it 23-15. Carson Beck marches back. All right, Carson Beck and the Bulldogs. And it's not really so much Carson Beck, if I'm being honest, because he's not looking so good. There's like 2 minutes remaining. Texas was about to get the ball before I made this video. But it's over. It's over in my head. Carson Beck did not have a good game. Trevor Etienne marches back and gets his 3rd touchdown of the day. Hat trick, baby. Just like Messi earlier today. But give him 3 touchdowns. Now you got 30-15 for the Bulldogs. And Texas just could not get it together, man. So far, again, like I said, there was about 2 minutes left, and Texas was about to get the ball back before I turned it off to come make this video. So maybe they go punch it in. I don't know. but it is not looking good. This game is probably going to be over, and hopefully this video is out right on time. But it's because they could not establish the run. Quinn Ewers could not get in a rhythm. I think Arch Manning would have been the better quarterback for this situation just because of how explosive that Georgia front seven is. The pass rush that they have is crazy. The offensive line of Texas has dominated so far this season, and they're just looking like scrubs right now. Both tackles are getting beat off the ball, and you could tell that because they keep committing false starts penalties because they know they're losing. That is when you know you are losing, is when you have to get the big inning. You go early, you jump, you get giddy. All right? You're nervous. That's why you commit false starts a lot of the time. And that's what's happening to these Texas tackles. And the front seven of Georgia is just putting too much pressure. I would like to see Arch Manning back there because he can use his legs. And there was a couple times earlier where, Quinn Ewers is putting down a read option and nobody's biting on the fake because they're just going for the running back. They know Quinn Ewers isn't keeping the ball. If it's Arch Manning, yeah, you got to respect it. All right, the defensive end cannot collapse. The outside linebacker cannot collapse. But they're collapsing right now. Arch Manning can make things happen with his feet. He can roll out. He can get outside the pressure. Quinn Ewers cannot get outside the pressure. Mykell Williams, Walker, they're eating him up. They're eating him up. This is just elite level defensive football from the Georgia Bulldogs. That is why they are dominating Texas. Texas has not faced this kind of defense before. Georgia has. The Texas defense is playing pretty well, especially their secondary. Their defensive front is having one of their weakest games. But Georgia has gone up against this defense before. They've gone up against an Alabama defense, which is pretty good. They've gone up against a Clemson defense, which is really good. All right, this is Texas's first shot. This is their first test, and that is why Georgia is pulling it out, because they have the experience this season, they have the defensive pressure, and they're getting the run game going. Three things that Texas is not doing very well. Am I saying that if they played in Arch Manning, that negates the entire pressure from the Bulldogs defense? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, especially where he is a young quarterback, unexperienced, right? That just takes that third factor that I mentioned and just pushes the gap even further. But I think it would have been a better shot to have the more athletic guy come in and play quarterback right here. And he looked decent. I mean, he went 3 for 6, and he ran the ball for 12 yards. Okay, I think that should have been the move to stick with him coming out of halftime. But Quinn Ewers is Quinn Ewers. All right, I love Quinn Ewers. I think he's an elite level pocket passer, and he's shown that time and time again. He's got a great arm, but you'll never know. We'll never know who would have been the better quarterback for this situation. And I think either way, Bulldogs come out winning this football game. On the road, dominant performance. Can they get back up to number one? Can they be the best team in the SEC? Bama just took their second loss. Iowa State held on to stay undefeated in the Big 12. BYU hung on to stay undefeated in the Big 12 last night. There is a lot of great football on this Saturday. I hope you're enjoying it. Let me know what you think about Georgia and Texas. It's been a fun one, and I will catch you guys next time. Thank you.